Hi guys, welcome to Drum Dog, and this week we're going to be talking about bass drum dynamics. Now, bass drum dynamics can differ to other dynamics purely in the sense that it's kind of a different application. When we're talking about dynamics with our hands, it's often about a dynamic contrast between loud notes and quiet notes in the same phrase. Now, while that can be a result of playing doubles on the bass drum, sometimes we get a ba-boom just naturally because of the motion. Mostly when we're talking about bass drum dynamics, we're going to be talking about one level. So we're either trying to play the bass drum quietly or we're trying to play the bass drum loudly. It's rarer that we're actually trying to mix loud and quiet in the same beat on the bass drum. Now, because of this, when we start talking about dynamics, it becomes a talk of technique and how we're actually playing the bass drum just in one beat, as opposed to mixing dynamic contrast and getting between two volumes at the same time. Now, as drummers, when we start playing and we kind of just default to our natural playing, we tend to either be naturally loud or naturally quiet. And then to change from being a naturally quiet drummer to play loud can be a real challenge. And to change from being a naturally loud drummer to playing quietly can be equally as much of a challenge. Now, especially on the bass drum. Because we take our hands and with a stick, it's a bit easier to hit something not quite as hard and then to lump it a bit harder because we have quite a lot of small muscle control down in our fingers in that connection to the stick. But as soon as we start talking about our foot, things can start getting a little bit more difficult because our connection to that pedal is so much less articulate. It's so much less connected than our hand on the stick. We've got to be really careful in how we're actually using that pedal to get the result that we want to get. Now, this boils down quite quickly to our two main bass drum techniques that hopefully you guys have heard of, and that is heel up and heel down. Now, I've heard drummers say that, I'm a heel up player. I play heel up. That's what I do. Or I'm a heel down player. So I play heel down. That is what I do. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that because the way I see it, we need to be able to employ both heel up and heel down for different dynamics that are required of our playing. So let's have a quick overview of these techniques and how they affect our dynamics and why. So first of all, heel down. Now you can see there that with heel down, my heel is down on the heel plate of that pedal. And because my heel's down, my actual leg from the ankle up is doing nothing. All it is doing is resting there and just chilling, which is nice and relaxed. So all of our bass drum actual motion and playing is from the ankle and the foot. That's the only thing that's actually moving to get that motion to happen. You can tell if you're playing heel down because you put your hand on your knee, that knee is not going to come up and down when you're playing that bass drum. That whole leg is at rest and that knee is doing nothing. It's all in the ankle. Now, because it's all in the ankle, that is actually quite a small muscle comparative to our legs. And we've got quite a lot of control there to play the bass drum really quietly. We can really tickle that bass drum and just touch the head because we've got full control of that ankle. But again, if you're a naturally loud player, that can actually be a bit of a challenge. So just to sit here with your heel down, leg doing nothing, and really feel how that ankle can fully control the pedal does take quite a lot of time to build up those muscles and get that relationship with the bass drum pedal. Now, I would argue that heel down is essential to be able to play that bass drum quietly with control. Because the second we're trying to play heel up quietly, as soon as we're in that heel up position, I'm now having to hold the weight of my leg, okay? My leg is no longer resting through that heel. And because of that, to then play the bass drum, my whole leg is tense. Because I'm holding the weight of my leg, and a leg is a big limb, it's heavy. Because my leg is tense, to then play the bass drum, I'm having to fight my own tension to play as well as holding the weight of my leg. Because of that, to actually play quietly, I've got so much less control. I'm kind of dropping my leg and trying to hold it at the same time. To play that quietly is so much more difficult than just dropping that heel and just using my ankle. I can feel all the tension relieving from my thighs there, just from that short amount of time holding my leg up. But equally, on the other side of the spectrum, if we're trying to hit a bit harder and we're trying to get a bit more force behind it, heel down really has its limitations. I can only if I try and play as hard as I can heel down, I can get a decent amount of force behind it, but if we're really trying to get things moving and we're really hitting the drums, that's simply not going to cut the mustard. We are going to have to start using that weight that I was talking about, that weight that's hard to suspend because our leg's so heavy. We're going to use it to our advantage. We're going to pick our heel up. We're going to be on the ball of our foot on that footboard, and we're going to drop the whole weight of our leg into the bass drum. Now, straight away, there's a whole load more energy there because I'm just picking up that weight and I'm dropping it. Now, I'm not letting go of that footboard. You'll see my foot always stays in contact with that footboard on the ball of my foot, but I'm picking it up, I'm dropping that weight. Now, to be able to take advantage of the weight that's in our leg and drop all of that weight into the pedal, pivoting all the way back here from the hip, really makes hitting the bass drum hard a whole lot easier. Because instead of using brute force and using tension in my muscles to pull that leg down and really hit hard, all I'm doing is dropping that weight. If you can imagine, let's not imagine it too intensely here, but if you can imagine cutting your leg off and holding just that leg, there's so much weight in that. We want to use that dead weight to drop onto the pedal instead of using our muscles to force the pedal down, which is just using more energy. If we don't have to work hard, why work hard? Let's just chill and do nothing while we're using that weight to play that bass drum. Okay, so heel up for hitting hard and heel down for where we need that little bit more finesse. To be able to switch between the two is essential for the modern drummer who's looking to be able to bounce between different genres that require those different touches on the bass drum. So if one of those techniques does come more naturally to you, force yourself to spend more time working on the other one. Because so often when we sit down in the practice room, we always go back to those things that just feel good for us to play. But it's when we work on our weaker side that we actually develop ourselves into a more all-rounded drummer and then can play the things that previously we weren't so great at when they're called of us. Now, I really hope this little crash course into bass drum dynamic and technique really helped some of you guys today. If you enjoyed this lesson, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again soon.